What is going on, guys? Today we're going to be looking at all of the best Prem in each position. We've got cheap, mid and expensive, and we start off with Nick Pope. Like we do with most keepers, we will just rattle through these very quickly because in my opinion there's very little difference between keepers. Yes, obviously if you go the difference between an 81 and a 90, you would expect them to be better. Sometimes not always the case, as I can imagine a lot of the comments will always say in any tier list of goalkeepers, they all prefer different ones. I personally don't like Cech, a lot of people like Cech. I like Van der Sar, there's definitely people that don't like Van der Sar. So I've got a list of the free keepers I personally rate in the Prem. If you are looking for absolute cheap, like you've got a K to spend on a keeper, Nick Pope has always been one that has been safe hands. Again, like I say, you might have a bad experience, you might have a good one, but Nick Pope would be the one I personally would go to in the very, very cheap. On a step up, I'd be looking at Alisson. Again, another relatively cheaper keeper, to be honest. There isn't too many expensive ones, and I think the most expensive Prem keeper is the one at the top spot at 55,000 coins. Alisson has been a keeper of mine in the World Cup version for pretty much the whole of the World Cup. Ederson has been a keeper prior to that, and then now we have used a bit of Butland as well as the most expensive. He is I'd consider the best keeper, but again, it is just all dependent on what you expect. This is Prem only as well. Are you tired of using players like this? I would much rather have teams more like this. Then I recommend going over to skycoach.gg for all of your coaching and coins needs. They are cheap, fast and reliable, but at the checkout make sure you are using code JT11 for a discount on your orders. Back to the video. So that is always kind of down to a personal preference. The nice added bonus is he is a 5'5", very unuseful in terms of what you actually need him for, but in terms of a keeper, he normally is pretty safe hands. So then we move on to the right backs. So Walker is very, very cheap nowadays. Still gives you a very good option in that right back spot. He obviously has the pace already. We are looking for predominantly an anchor, I can imagine, what you'd want. And he is going to be a very cheap option. You probably got better by now, more than likely an icon or a special card that is in that variety. But Walker will definitely give you a chance if you are starting the game fresh or just haven't got round to upgrading your fullback positions. In terms of the mid choice, Dalot is always a standard choice for me. He is brilliant. 200 and something thousand coins, can be right back, right wing back. He's got the pace, got the dribbling, the composure's up, defending's nice, physical's good. He's just a very all-round, very good right back, and especially for the cost, he's coming in as a nice one as well. We've got the passing also as the added bonus. And in terms of the best one, we've got to go path to glory Walker. He is very, very expensive. There is a foot Centurion's Trent, but Walker has always had my shout. If he managed to actually win the World Cup, this card would have been an absolute joke. But 95 pace, the composure's been whacked up compared to the gold card. We've got incredible defending and physical upgrades and a bit more on that passing. He is well worth every coin that you spend on him. But I would say very, very expensive. I would probably more go towards Dalot if you are building a Prem team, but he is definitely in that number one spot. Centre-backs, Varane, as you can imagine, he is elite as elite. He's been in my team pretty much from the start, and I've only just changed him out, and to be honest, I still could probably use him, but it's now just time to use a fresh face in there. 768 games for me. He has been an absolute rock. The pace is always good, and I think with Varane, its in-game ability is way better than what the stats possess. He's like a lot of them with Ferland Mendy, with a few of the other lower rated players. He plays above that level. Ferland Mendy is still pretty much just an endgame left back from gold version. You don't need to upgrade him. The centre back position does require a little bit more of an upgrade. I feel like you can get away with the fullbacks, but centre backs definitely need that upgrade. So Varane for me is the cheaper option. Then we move on to obviously Van Dijk, who was his partner and still is in my team at gold version. He again has been in for a long time now and is just definitely price for price, the best gold card you can get. I think he's just shy of 100,000 coins, and he is definitely endgame till the very end. Unless you've got Maldini, Team of the Year Virgil, or you got his World Cup stories, he can be in your team. And I think it's definitely one of the cards that I'd say if you've got 100k and your defense is looking a little bit on the lower side, Virgil would be always the first one I'd go to because he is that good. The defending's elite, the composure's there, we've got great physicals, a Shadow's going to sort that pace out right away, and he is just the best gold card you can physically get. And of course, his expensive one is going to be the best one as well. Team of the Year Virgil is an absolute monster. He's got a massive pace increase. Defending is 97 on the base, which is just incredible. 94 on a physical. We have 99 reactions and composure. The passing's elite. He is endgame beyond endgame. Whether he gets a team of the season is within doubt at this point. We might be seeing a lot more different options compared to a lot of the Liverpool lads going forward. But Virgil as the team of the year is absolutely crackers. He's well worth the coins. It's coming in just over $1 million now, or I think even $2 million in fact. So he is obviously very expensive, but definitely the best Prem centre-back you can physically get. Left back wise, again, fullbacks in the Prem, I feel like there's only a couple of options really. Cancelo was definitely the starting option for me. A 4-star, can also play right back due to the fact he is a preference foot of right-footed, so it all depends on what you actually prefer. If obviously you like a left-footed left back, then obviously you can swap him over to that right back role. But I still think him and Robbo definitely take that left back spot regardless of who you choose. I feel like both of them give you them same sort of options, and he is still a very good option even in the cheap sort of category. We then move over to Future Stars Malacia, again one that can really come into his own at this point. He's got great pace on him, defending and physicals are definitely getting up there. The only problem with this card, and what I have with a lot of Future Stars, is that composure. I feel like that is something that definitely needs work on, but unfortunately there's nothing we can do right now. Whether he gets a team of the season, a community or something, that could be within shout in the near future, but I'm going to put him in the mid tier. And then we look at the best one. It's obviously got to be honourable Cancelo. Unfortunately, this will be the last card he gets in the Prem, obviously taking the move over to Bayern, so we will be seeing him in a better version, hopefully in the Bayern Munich squad in the Bundesliga, but we did manage to get a 91 Cancelo, which considerably is a lot better than his gold card. Coming in a little bit more expensive, but 90 pace, great dribbling. Obviously, the defending physical is getting a bit more of an upgrade. You'd be looking for an anchor to whack that strength up, but we've already got very good base around every stat, which is always perfect. Same traits on him, and he is a 4-star still. Into the CDM roles, we have Gold Zachariah as the first shout for a CDM. Again, very much like a lot of positions, once you narrow down into a specific position in one league, there is a few of the options, but most definitely the cheap option compared to the whole range of FIFA is a lot less of a choice. Zachariah is a standard. If you're looking at a very, like I say, brand new team, then he's a great shout to get. He's got great sprint speed, composure for an 81 is fantastic. He's got the physical ability, and if you whack a Shadow, you're getting yourself 90 pace and at least 85 defending, which I think for what, just about 1,000 coins is not a bad shout at all. And also we have him in the mid tier as well. The Path to Glory 87 is absolutely fantastic. He did miss out on obviously a 4-star weak foot, which would have just been that little icing on the cake for him, but he is still a lot better with this version, coming in relatively cheap compared to what other cards we get, and a lot of the CDMs in the Prem were SBCs, so it is an interesting scenario where you go with that. But I think in terms of an upgrade, if you're looking from a Zachariah to another Zachariah, he is definitely another great option that you can get in that CDM role. In the best version, well, there's only one man realistically. Yaya Toure is absolutely phenomenal. I feel like it was a toss-up between him and Conte, but I think this year personally, and I hate to say it, Conte just doesn't hit the same as he has done in the past 5 to 7 years. He has been absolutely elite every year. Yaya Toure is definitely taking that spot this time round. A 4-star giant, gonna cost you a lot of money, but he's well worth the investment if you do manage to get him in your squad. He is just absolutely clear of everybody. Then we go into the centre mids with Bentancur as his inform, which is a 4-star, 5-star, which already starts the vote off very well. In terms of stats, we've got some very impressive stats. Pace-wise, definitely not as much. If you wanted to go for the Hunter for the more box-to-box feel, or maybe having more defensive, maybe passing out rather than necessarily attacking, you could go for that Shadow just to kind of solidify himself as more of a defensive mid rather than a box-to-box. But again, either or, he's still a very, very good card for about 25,000 coins. In the mid-roll, we've got big old Centurions Fred, the 4-star Brazilian. In that centre mid-roll is a very, very good card. Great pace, dribbling's absolutely elite. He's got brilliant agility balance, good composure. Defensive could do a bit of a work, but again, a Shadow is going to absolutely sort that out. And we've got a lot of traits. Very underrated, and to be honest, I don't see him as much as I thought I would do. I think during the Centurions week, we saw a few of him in some of the game modes that required a Centurion, but most definitely now, we're not seeing him as much because the midfield is just all about the expensive. Team of the Year, De Bruyne, Bellingham, Modric, Hullet, Matthias. You're seeing all of the top dogs now. The mid-tier in the top end of FIFA is just full of these. You're seeing Zidane, you're seeing Yaya, you're seeing all of the top beasts, million coin cards. It's nice to see a refreshing card that is a couple of 100,000 coins, but still can do the work, even though he's not necessarily at that sort of top premium price. De Bruyne himself is a wonderful card. Would I say I'd go out and buy him straight off the bat? I think I'd wait for him to drop a little bit more. I feel like Team of the Year, definitely demand-wise, was very high, but the supply was just absolutely nowhere. For some reason, they decided to go the opposite end compared to last year and really dropped that weight. De Bruyne is still absolutely fantastic as always and will be an incredible box-to-box with that Shadow. Into the cams, we have Fabio Carvalho, nearly pronounced that name wrong. I was thinking, how on earth did I manage to screw that one up? But a 4-star future star. 5'9", very cheap, actually got a good composure boost, which is something that we just don't see with a lot of these future stars. But the pace is fantastic. Finishing's brilliant, but the shot power is a little bit less, so he is more of an attacking player, but definitely could do with a bit of work on that passing. I feel like that's a big thing that needs to be upgraded. Maybe you go for a Deadeye, as he's got the acceleration sprint speed already down to 91 and 88. You could definitely sacrifice a bit of a pace upgrade to obviously get a bit more on that passing if he is an original cam. If he's going to be very high attacking, you want him shooting, a Hunter's got to be the option you go for because the dribbling is already in that top end. The mid-tier, we're going with big old JJ Okocha, a 5-star, 4-star. Medium-low, unfortunately, we didn't quite get that high work rate, but it's still got very good stats throughout. A Hunter is obviously where you're going. You want that finishing up. We've already got the dribbling and composure at the top level. Passing's very good. Little bit of free kick accuracy. And again, another one that isn't seen much, but definitely has got a good eye in that Prem team. And then finally, Jadon Sancho. It was a toss-up between him, Bruno, and Bernardo Silva, but I think the 5-star, 4-star nature, good pace, has the base stats already. You can go with the Hunter on him because his dribbling already is at that top end, as well as having a good amount of passing. I believe he is the best cam in the position, so he is already a cam. It's not a centre mid that can be a cam. For instance, De Bruyne would be a better cam, but in terms of he is a starting cam, not an alternative position. Jadon Sancho takes my vote as the best cam on FIFA 23 in the Prem at the minute. Into the left wings now, and Perisic is going to be the first one. Very, very cheap for such an underrated card. He is very good as a cam also, just to throw that out there. But the pace, shooting, passing, dribbling, even physicality, is a very well-rounded card. For the price that you're paying, you're getting a very nice card back. I believe his out-of-position card was actually relatively good for the time it came out. That was an 86 cam, so we did get a team of the tournament that is definitely surpassed that now, which is always perfect. The next option is all dependent on skills for me. In terms of a different sort of option compared to Perisic, you can see the kind of difference. Perisic has a very, very good, well-balanced amount of passing, shooting, whereas obviously with St. Max, pace, dribbling. They are the two things that are just absolutely elite and head and above everything else in terms of a card. Coming in about 500,000 coins now, but in terms of the dribbling side of stuff, if you're very good, I believe he's one of the best. And as you saw, if you was a keen eye then, Mudryk is number one for me. This card is a joke. An absolute joke. His pace is unreal. The dribbling is clean. He's got great finishing. Passing's decent. He is just well worth coins. And even then, we've got composure up to 83. Again, I feel like for a 90 rated card, it could have been a little bit more, but at the least it is over 80 at the minimum, because we've seen so many future stars that were sub 80, it's just not even funny. Like, we're at past team of the year point. There is no way a card that is 90, 92 rated should have 75 to 78 composure. It definitely needs to be 80 and above at the minimum, and I think 85 and above that I think is more comfortable in the role at this moment in time. Onto the right side, we're going with big old Anthony Elanga, the 4-star, 3-star, and very much like we said with future stars, didn't get that big composure upgrade, but is still 80, and obviously is coming in at a relatively cheap price, which I personally think is a lot better than most. There is still options like a Salah, like you could go, and you can obviously go with, I think Sterling could be right wing. I don't know if Son can be right wing in their gold forms, but I think in terms of a new card, fresh face, Elanga's not a bad card at all. Got the pace, got the finishing, good passing, and his dribbling's very good as well. It's only really the composure that holds him back that little bit, but in terms of what you can add with a chemistry style as well, a fantastic option if you are looking for a budget squad. In the mid one, Theo Walcott. I don't normally put SBCs in here, but this card has been running me ragged all weekend long. I absolutely hate him. He is so good, it is stupid. And to be honest, is more of a striker because that pace is just an absolute joke. But in a right wing where he actually is, he's got to be put in there. And that's mainly because how effective he is as a striker. He's got to be in that right wing role just because he was actually relatively cheap. I don't think, let's see if he is actually in here, because I don't know if he's finished yet or he was one of them SBCs that was there for a while. I want to say he is actually finished, but I could be wrong, so I don't want to give you false information just yet. He is expired. He is expired from Future Stars. He was 178,000 coins according to the market right now. So if you've missed out on him, he was a very good player. If you don't have anybody else in any other leagues, that obviously overtakes him. Then we have big old Foot Centurions Salah in the mix, 93 rated, a fantastic card. A player that, to be honest, never really gets on with me unless it's team of the season, which we tend to normally get him eventually. Normally it is during footies, but this card is an absolute joke. We've been seeing him more and more in them right wing roles, and he's just so quick. Very clinical in front of goal. Dribbling is just too good, very, very quick on that turn, and obviously has the stamina to go with it, and is definitely my number one spot. Centre forwards, we've got a little bit of a small option here. Felix had two versions. One is a history maker, but obviously you couldn't have got that if you got somebody else in that history spot. There is no duplicate packs that you can get. You just get one, and that is it. So the gold Felix is going to come in as the cheap option, the brand new transferred, which we are yet to see some big upgrades from him, which would be fantastic. We have Harry Kewell as the mid-tier, a beautiful card. If you've never given him a go, he is absolutely fantastic in front of goal. Centre forward, striker, left wing, he can do it all, and the stats definitely bump it up for him. And then we have a Champions League road to the final, Bobby Firmino, a 5-star, 4-star that definitely has had no love this year, but now we've got a big card with a chance of a big upgrade. If Liverpool did, for instance, in a hypothetical world, manage to win the Champions League, we would be a 92, 93, 94, 95 Firmino with a 5-star, 5-star with 3 new traits as well. That card would be stupid. He'd be very expensive as well, but what a card on the base already. Good pace, great shooting, good passing, elite dribbling, all at 94, which is just jokes, and obviously a good amount of physicality as well. He is an absolute elite centre forward, which you'd be paying through the nose for. And then finally we go on to the strikers. Jamie Vardy is going to get my first vote for his Foot Centurions as the cheap striker. You have got other options like a Haaland as another striker, and if you wanted to go cheaper, I would say Nunez would be the absolute bog standard cheap striker that you could go for, but I think for 80,000 coins, Vardy's most definitely not a bad option you can go for. The mid-tier is going to be Aubameyang. Personally, I like him a lot. A lot of people I've seen from when I first kind of like put him in the tier list for strikers, people didn't like him, and they really don't like him, but I think pace-wise, shooting, dribbling's good. You can't argue with the card. A 91 from pretty much the start of the game. The first couple of months in, he managed to get his 91 form, and I think he's definitely put himself in the top category of strikers in the Prem. And finally, we have got Haaland Team of the Year. There is one extra vote before you go clicking off, but Team of the Year Haaland, it's Team of the Year Haaland. This is what we've been waiting for. Team of the Year Haaland and Mbappe together are just stupid. You throw an R9 into the mix, then you might as well just quit the game before it even goes 1-0 down. But this card is a absolute wrecking machine. The pace is fantastic. The shooting is unreal. We've got the dribbling, a powerhouse in strength. There's just very little to say. He is obviously very expensive as well. But in terms of efficiency, my favourite striker in the Prem has got to be Future Stars Alvarez. He is an absolute joke. Pace is unreal. Shooting's fantastic. His agility balance is beautiful. A stunning striker that comes in at a tenth of the price of what Haaland does cost, and definitely one to be looking at if you are looking at a new top end Prem striker. And that's going to be my list today. Let me know any other votes you would like to know and any other leagues you'd like to see where I do this cheap, mid versus expensive. But other than that, make sure you like and subscribe, click on the video on the screen, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace!